Hey guys, welcome back. This is Total Fitness Podcast. I'm Matthew,
I'm Walter.
and today we have a very special guest. This is Jesse. Jesse, why don't you introduce yourself to our guests?
Hello, everybody. My name is Jesse. I've known Matt for a bit now, and I recently just went into remission from brain cancer.
Yeah, so congratulations on that, man. So of course, obviously we want to talk to you more so about the mindset about everything that kind of happened, right? Our listeners know our podcast is about total fitness. That includes physical, mental, spiritual, if you are into that. But the overall health of everything in that sense, right? So we'll just dive right into it. Why don't you give us a bit of a backstory as to like how you found out about the cancer, and what your first thoughts were when you were told, Jesse, you have a brain tumor and you might have cancer.
Yeah. So it kind of started with headaches. I was getting frequent headaches, and I was like, "This is weird." So I taking Tylenol, and then Tylenol wasn't working. I was taking a leave, and then eventually those headaches progressed to vision issues, and that was like kind of the first step where I was going to see a doctor. I went to the optometrist and he was testing my eyes and he said, "Yeah, you need prism glasses." Basically, my right eye was seen as if it was like dropped much lower than my left eye. Um, and then as I was continuing during, unfortunately, what was the start of the pandemic, I was getting delayed with getting glasses to help this prism issue. But then eventually, when I finally got these glasses, they didn't help. Like very little. It was helping to reduce the amount of light that was around me, but nothing really substantial. And then I ended up unfortunately puking 4 nights in a row. And I was supposed to be going into work on like the fifth day. And I called into work and I was like, I can't. I've been puking all night. I've been puking for 6 hours straight. Like there's no way that I can come in. And I ended up saying, you know what? I need to see the doctor. I didn't even go to the hospital yet. I called my doctor. My doctor had a virtual appointment with me. He was like, Jesse, I can't do anything with you, unfortunately, because of the pandemic. But I'm giving you a note right now. You're going to the hospital. You're going to emerge. They're going to be giving you a CT scan and MRI, and we're going to get to you some answers. I said, okay, sounds good. I went right away, gave them the note. Like I got like fast tracked right into a CT scan right away. They did the CT scan and like they did like a couple images, and like each image, one after another, the tumor was growing substantially. So the doctor pulls me into a room and goes, "Look, I know you're by yourself, but we just ordered you an ambulance. You're going downtown to like the brain hospital. Um, you're going now. Like you have a brain tumor. We don't know what it is. An MRI is not going to tell us that right now. You need to go get more testing." I was like, okay. I drove myself to the hospital. Like, who's going to take my car home if I'm going in an ambulance? So I had to call my family because I was by myself. I was allowed to have a visitor for less than 15 minutes until the ambulance came. It was scary for me because I was like, damn, I'm going to a hospital by myself. Like, I've never done this before. This is so weird. And then went down to Toronto Western, had some COVID tests, and all negative. And then had a brain biopsy where they then discovered that the tumor was both benign and malignant. So it was a mixture of the two, and it ended up being that this tumor has been growing in my brain since I was born. So it would just happen to substantially grow over time now. Um, but yeah, so that's how I got to find out. Had that brain surgery, and then in no time I was home. My family had a parade for me to kind of send me off in a way to chemo the following week. Did 4 rounds of chemotherapy. I had 1 week at a time where I was in hospital, and then after my chemotherapy, I went through 33 sessions of radiation. After radiation, we were hoping that the radiation would, shrink the tumor as much as it could. But unfortunately, radiation only does so much, especially with a benign and a malignant tumor. The malignant tumor was the cancerous part that was not high in levels. During my chemo treatment, we were constantly reevaluating my cancer levels, and the chemo was working very effectively. So we really assumed that the remaining part of the tumor was the benign part of the tumor, but unfortunately, it was still on my optical nerve, which was giving me vision issues. So they had to make sure that they got as much as they could out. So radiation, during all that time, I didn't eat. I had no appetite. The radiation was hitting my saliva glands, so I wouldn't eat. I would maybe have a couple sips of water if I was lucky, maybe a sip of Ensure if I was lucky, but I didn't eat for about 2.5 months. And then unfortunately, because I didn't eat, it delayed me to have my final brain surgery for an additional month. And during a pandemic, there's only a certain amount of surgeries that can be scheduled at a time. So when I finally got my surgery, we were able to remove up to 50% of the tumor, of the scar tissue and tumor that was left. But now I go for frequent appointments and more checkups, and I deal with nausea as well and headaches.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story, man. Well,
Yeah.
hey, we're glad that you're in remission. That's a great point. But yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I'll start us off with the questions. I just want to
Yeah.
know, like, what is it? I mean, I've been in the hospital with COVID. No, like not because I had COVID, just like during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's not fun, and I could only imagine. I was in for a
No.
week. I could only imagine what was going through your head when you were in there for by yourself, not seeing anybody really. Like,
Yeah.
what were you going through at that point?
Lots of different mixed emotions. One, I was obviously scared because not being in a situation like this before. But it was really I was grateful for the amount of support that I was given. And it was weird because I wasn't able to have visitors in the hospital. My phone was constantly getting filled with FaceTime calls and regular calls and text messages and like gifts that were sent to my hospital and like food and Uber Eats gift cards and like you name it, the amount of support that I would receive was absolutely incredible. And if I like I said before, the week after um like right after I was diagnosed that it was cancers, um, I did go to brain rehab for a week to kind of rehabilitate myself. But when I got back home and I had that parade, my family designed these shirts, and my slogan is "Stay blessed, stay breezy." So they sold the shirts, and all the money that we raised went to Princess Margaret. That was the cancer hospital that I did my treatment at, and we raised over $20,000 for it.
That's
So
nuts.
just throughout all of it, it really just showed like how much support I was given through
Yeah.
a time where I couldn't have that support face to face. And
Hmm.
it was really difficult for me to not have that face to face. But I was also so lucky that the nursing staff knew what we were going through, and they were our family during that time. Like they were constantly checking in on us. They were constantly making sure that our mental health was also being upkept with our physical health. It's a difficult time to go through treatment without anybody with you, but then also to be in a room by yourself for treatment for up to 8 hours a day, like it's lonely. So
Yeah.
having that company with the nurses is awesome, but also just their perspective of not just being a nurse and coming in, doing your vitals and goodbye. It's asking like, hey, how you doing? You know, you've been here all week, and like I've seen you and you're strong, man. And like hearing those comments, yes, you hear it from your family, but hearing it from what is a complete stranger to you is really meaningful.
Yeah.
So that really guided me and pushed me through. And I hope that also pushed you through, that the nursing team was support. But I was so grateful for the any support that I was given.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. My nursing support basically just brought me extra food, which was in my book, A plus. But yeah.
I think you have to really look too. I mean, when you think about the situation, and as you said, the loneliness of being in the room all the time, how it is in some of the long-term care facilities now, where there are people who are stuck in that room for a very long time, and the nurses are doing everything they can to give them the kind of support that you had,
Yeah,
and that's why they are heroes,
yeah,
because of the work that they're doing. It's amazing.
yeah,
Um,
and especially during like I was on a unit, I was on the cancer unit, and unfortunately, cancer is not common for those, not unfortunately, but it's not common for those of a younger age. So the demographic was much older. So there was one time where I was with a roommate, but he didn't feel comfortable to have me in the room because he was in treatment for 30 plus days, where I'm a 22-year-old and not going through the same life experiences as him. So lots of different mental and physical emotions, but also when I'm on the phone all day talking to my friends, it probably unfortunately wasn't the best for him to hear,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard that, like, I'm not trying to limit myself because I need that support too, and I need to put myself first at the end of the day. But it's also, I sympathize and I see what all these guys go through, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one thing that, I know about you is you used to work with mental health. Like that was one of your jobs, right?
Yep.
Almost like the social work kind of
Yep.
thing, which you can explain a little bit as to exactly what you did.
Mhm.
How much did that knowledge of, having a background and kind of knowing how to prepare other people for life's hardships, how did that help you?
Yeah. So my background, I graduated from a social work-based program, and I became an addictions counselor. Um, During that time, I learned and met so many different people. But at the same time, what really got me were the hardships that I learned about their lives and the fights that they've gone through. And addiction in itself is really hard to fight. It's a disease in itself, because where I was getting medications for my cancer treatment, these guys are getting medications because they're addicted to something. They have an addictive personality. They are addicted to drugs. They're addicted to alcohol. They're addicted to gambling. They're addicted to sex. So many different backgrounds that I worked with. And it really showed me that I got to be grateful in life. And that really helped me and motivated me throughout my treatment, that I'm getting through this. It's only 4 weeks that I have to sit in this bed, and I'm getting the support, and I'm getting free treats, and I'm losing some weight. But at the same time, taking those little moments and
Yeah.
realizing, I kind of don't have it that bad.
Right.
And in the grand scheme of things, when I look back at it, my treatment process was only 8 months. And like, if I think of someone that goes through cancer, I don't think of less than a year. I think of years. And yes, obviously I do have appointments that I'm still going to be going through, but my treatment itself was less than a year. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that, I'm not continuing to spend years and years and years in hospital where I'm down on myself, right? I was so like motivated that I pushed myself through all of this journey that I started a podcast. I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. I always was interested to start it, but I was like, that's it. I'm doing it. It's like I just learned so much about life and about myself and how grateful we need to be about things, that screw it. I'm so happy in a way to have gone through that experience, because if it wasn't me, I hate to think that unfortunately it may have been someone else. And what if they weren't strong
Yeah.
enough, or didn't have the support, or didn't have a mindset that they can flip on and off to push themselves through? And again, I'm lucky that I was able to push myself, and I had the support and do the things that I was doing. But yeah,
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Mm.
thank you.
I mean, it takes what doesn't kill you makes you strong, and the more you can go through and come out on the other end, have the gratitude and the ability to help other people to get through it again, is it's an amazing gift. I think, for anything that I've gone through, I wouldn't be who I am if I hadn't. So I guess it was worthwhile. But at
Yeah.
the time, you know, poor me. How can this be going this way?
Exactly.
So it's good to see someone with that kind of attitude.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So obviously, your podcasts, which you can plug, obviously the Blessed and Breezy podcast. Show the logo there. Nice little logo. So obviously, Blessed and Breezy. We want to talk a little bit about that. I'm sure by this point, if our listeners haven't actually figured this out, you're very grateful. You're very positive. Give us a bit of a background on where you came up with that name, and also, how do you stay so positive? How do you stay so grateful?
So, Blessed and Breezy, for some reason, just like became like a tag on me. And it started with, I used to do like Instagram updates, and at the end, I would always just say stay blessed. And I don't know why, it just came to me. And it was just like a reminder, like, you're blessed. Like, it's nothing religious based, has nothing to do with it, but it's just, whatever you're doing, you're blessed.
Yeah.
And eventually I'm a manager at a health facility, but then I ended up would be sending out like daily messages of support or like reminders or just, hey guys, how you doing? And at the end of every message, I would always say, stay blessed, stay breezy. I don't know where the breezy came from, but I would always end the messages with stay blessed, stay breezy. And then when I would have conversations, I would literally someone would be like, hey, how you doing? I'm blessed. Yo, I'm blessed. I'm breezy. What does that mean, Jesse? What does it mean to you? And that's where it really got to me, was you can be blessed in your own way. You can be breezy in your own way. And there's not a clear definition for it because it's however you relate to it. And that's where, when I was thinking of the name, what do I want to like think of this podcast name? Do I want it to be like mental health conversations with Jesse? Like, no, who the hell's going to listen to that? Right. And then I was just like, I always say stay blessed, stay breezy, but like, who says stay in a name? And I was like, everyone like says like this podcast, this kind of podcast. It's like the Blessed and Breezy podcast. Why not? And then it just kind of like came together. I was asking a couple friends. I made a logo, and then I was like, "This is it. Like that's it. Like there's no turning back. Like that's it." And like blue's my favorite color, so it is a nice blue logo. So yeah, it is about mental health and self improvement. The Blessed and Breezy podcast. Feel free to check it out on all streaming platforms. And yeah,
Yeah, definitely do. It's a good podcast. I've listened to, obviously, my girlfriend was a guest, so I had to listen to that one. It's a good podcast, man. But yeah, so again, positivity, gratefulness, like where does that come from? And like obviously when you've mentioned kind of you kind of, in the situations you've been put in, you just have to have a positive outlook on life. But as Walter has said, like in these situations you've been in, you could go completely the other way.
yeah. I think it's a lot of the experiences that I've been given throughout my entire life. And it's things where I stepped out of my comfort zone and I liked it. So then I was like, damn, I like doing things that make me uncomfortable. And then it's like starting to work out. I hated working out at first. I tried to work out 3 times with 3 different personal trainers, and it was only the third time that the last personal trainer motivated me so much that I puked on my first training session.
Jeez.
And I loved it so much that I was like, sign me up, let's do it. And I think that's where it came down to, is trying things that I thought was going to make me uncomfortable. And then maybe at first it was kind of like that, like, okay, I'm going to step on ice, but let me just test the ice. Oh, the ice is actually solid. I can skate now. We're good. Oh, damn, I'm a figure skater. What is this? So, and I don't know like why, because there's obviously times where I'm down on myself and I am not happy about things, but then there's those times where I am grateful about being happy. And it kind of started something new for myself this year, where I do my daily journal every day, but I started something called Happy Happenings, where every single day I think about the day before, and I just think of one thing that made me happy. Absolutely anything. It could literally be as simple as I'm happy that I woke up. I'm happy that I had a good sleep. I'm happy that I went on a walk. I'm happy that I recorded this podcast today. And those things, I have a jar in my room and it just continues to fill up. And this jar, when I'm going to be able to read it at the end of this year, I'm going to go through all these moments and like, I'm going to laugh at myself, being like, Jesse, this made you happy. But then I'm going to smile and I'm going to be like, I have 365 things that made me happy this year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that idea.
That's being blessed.
It's being breezy. And it makes me emotional because there's so many things that I've already written on it and we're only in February.
Yeah.
And especially today being World Cancer Day, that there's just so many things that have made me blessed and breezy in this year. I'm sorry I'm getting emotional.
That's all right, man.
But I've just been able to learn how to be more grateful for things.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for life and grateful for the people around me and the interactions that I get to have. And unfortunately, we don't get to see people in person. So like even this is probably going to be on my happy happenings tomorrow because it's awesome.
Yeah, man.
It's awesome to just finding things that make you happy.
Yeah.
Because especially during a pandemic and during all of this, that there ain't that many things, unfortunately. So
that's true.
It's
But
training yourself to look for those things. That's the thing. I think sometimes in life we're trained to look in the opposite direction, quite honestly, with the news and a lot of social media. But if you can train yourself to look for good, you're going to see good, and then you're going to be filled with that. So
100%.
doing an amazing job. It's obviously working for you.
Thank you.
that's awesome, man. Yeah. That was pretty much it for my questions. If Walter, did you have a last question?
Well, he did talk about losing weight, so I think that's something that could
want
be
to kind
brought
of
up.
get into
The job in the pools, which to me is that hits my heart because I love swimming, I love the water. So if you want to talk a little bit about that side of things, the fitness side of things as well.
Yeah, of
that'd be
course.
awesome.
So all throughout high school and especially middle school, I've always been the chubby kid. I've always loved food. I've never said no to chocolate, and there are some things I don't like, but you know.
Yeah.
But I was starting university, and I stayed at home for university. I didn't go away to school, and I went to a university that not a single one of my friends that I knew went there. The only person that I knew was Matt's girlfriend, Tova. And she was the reason why I went to that university. But when I started university, I was very introvert, and that wasn't normal for me. I was out of my comfort zone. Where in high school, I was the president of my school. I was friends with everybody. I would throw all the parties, and then I moved to university, and I didn't know a single person. I would go to class, leave. I wouldn't like try to interact, and I had a job at a gym and I had a free gym membership, but I never decided to take advantage or go up to the second floor. And then I looked at myself in the mirror one day and I said, "You're disgusting. Like, who are you?" And we have these things at my work called the 60-day challenge. And it's literally committing yourself for 60 days, only 60 days, to a healthy way of life, and it kickstarts you, or it's supposed to help you kickstart you to get you going. So I turned to my manager and I burst out into tears and I said, "I am a fat ass." And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I don't like how I look. I don't like how I feel. I hate when I go to class. I don't even want to go to school." And this is where my mental health was getting the best of me. But at the same time, she's like, "Jesse, let's do the 60-day challenge together. Let's do it together." We both signed up. She's a petite little girl, and I'm a big guy. Right beside each other, we took a picture, and I'll never forget that picture. But I was also a little envious of her because she just got this manager position. She has a boyfriend. She has a happy life. And I am this badass. So I turned to the personal training manager and I said, I need to change my life and I need your help. And I'm not rich and I just need some help, a little bit of guidance. I really want to do personal training, but I've never had a good personal trainer. I've tried and I just can't. He's like, I have someone for you. He's like, I'm like, please, I'm gonna be very uncomfortable. Like, it needs to be someone that's like very, very, very nice. And he's like, don't worry, I got you. He's like, and the first 3 sessions are on me. I don't care. I'll pay it out of pocket. He's like, okay. Had my session, and we just had fun. It was just a fun session, and I puked.
I was gonna say, is this the one where you puked?
Yeah. And
It was a lot of fun.
I actually puked for probably the next month.
Oh, jeez.
For all my sessions because my body wasn't used to being physical.
Yeah.
Yes, I played hockey. Yes, I was a ref. Yes, I skated, but that wasn't the physical that my body needed in a way.
Right.
So when I finally got into it, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I want to post on my Instagram. I don't care how ugly I look. And I would post every single workout, a boomerang, and I would just post it on my Instagram. And eventually I had like a story going, and then I would just always look back at it. And it's so cool to see me lose weight.
That is. It's awesome.
And I paired up after about 3 months of training, of getting myself like settled. I got with a nutritionist and I did another 60-day challenge. And I just continued to lose weight. And then I did another 60-day challenge. And like these challenges, yes, they weren't anything at the end of the day for me, but it was just something that I was part of a community. It was a 60-day challenge community where I was getting constant updates from all these trainers. There was these free classes that I was able to go to, even though I was an employee and all classes were free for me. But I would go to these classes that only the 60-day participants were in. And then I would feel so good because I would wear a 60-day shirt and everyone's like, are you in 60-day? I'm like, yeah, I am. They go, oh my God, that's why you look so good. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And then getting these compliments and working in a gym, you're not the fat ass anymore. You're the guy that's pushing yourself towards your goals. And then that really changed my mind for so many things that I'm pushing myself towards my goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how I really got started into it.
Yeah.
And it motivated me so much. And like, even right now, it's a bit hard for me to get back into my fitness routine because I was off for 8 months, but I ride the Peloton. I'm doing yoga. I'm going on walks. I'm doing things to get myself active again.
Yeah.
So that when I want to get back to lifting, I'll be doing it. No problem.
Well, this is what I mean, we're just running out of time here, but you know, I always end up telling my clients, and Walter does the same. We always tell people on our show, it's the 80-20, right? You don't have to go balls to the wall every time. You need the balance of sustainable lifestyle, which is exactly what you're developing, right? If you can be 0.5% better every day for the rest of the year, and that's like, really, that's nothing. If you can do 1 extra rep, if you can have 1 ounce extra water, that's 1.05% better than, you know, the day you were before, you know, whatever it is. By the end of the year, that's over 150, 160% better than you were at the start of the year. That's all it takes. And I don't think, and it's great that you're saying that because you took it as a 60-day. And as you said, it's 2 months. That's not long. Then it's the next 60. Then it's the next 60. Then it goes on. And that's just an awesome way to kind of, you know, think about your goals. Because we always talk about that on the show. It's a great way to really hone down at what you're looking at, right? And what you're wanting to achieve.
Small bites to
look good.
And that's the benefit of it all too, right? A, you're healthier, B, better mindset, and you look banging, right? So
exactly.
So there you go. So that's my those were my questions, Walter. If you had any last points.
Good. I'm just really glad to meet you.
Yeah.
Again, and then to have the chance to talk. It's been great. Your message is amazing.
So
thank you so much. Oh, yes, sorry, go.
No. It's good. We just always like to finish our guests with one question, and that is in like 30 seconds or less. What would you say to our listeners to say, you know, wake up tomorrow with a better mindset, wake up tomorrow with more positivity? What kind of advice would you give them within like 30 seconds, just quick piece?
Wake up tomorrow and step out of your comfort zone. Find one thing that is going to be new for you, whether you try it tomorrow, whether you try it next week, step out of your comfort zone.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself.
Absolutely.
There you go, guys.
Thank you,
So
Jesse.
thank you so
No
much,
worries.
man,
Well, I
as
just wanted
always.
to say thank you so much for having me as a guest. And to all listeners, stay blessed and stay breezy.
There you go. All right, guys. Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Namaste.
Namaste.
There you go.
Namaste.